All right, you're about to experience another amazing interview in the Strengths of Diamonds experience, this time with a very special friend of mine, somebody who has really made a difference in a lot of people's lives. And the cool thing about doTERRA is that network marketing provides opportunities for us to do things outside of the network marketing realm that are really personal and special to us. And this person has done that. And I'm not even going to get into too much detail about that. You'll learn about that in the interview. But it's time for you to experience the wonderful, amazing Stephanie Fritz. Have fun. All right, hello everybody, and welcome to another amazing interview in the Strengths of Diamonds experience. My name is Eddie Villa, and I'm so excited. I have a published author here, my friends. I'm so pumped. And this person's my friend. That's the coolest thing ever. I want you to think about this. And I'm just going to get started on this interview very fast. I just want to say that one of the best things I ever did for myself was to develop myself to the point where I could be worthy of being friends with people like this. And oh my gosh, if you take away the money I've made, or even my ability to be a parent to my children, or even just the ability to be a better husband, give me the friends that I've made, and everything else will fix itself. And so I'm just so honored and so excited to introduce you all to a very powerful person, the author of the Essential Oils for Pregnancy, Birth, and Babies book, the powerful diamond, and honestly, I'm so honored to say my friend, Stephanie Fritz. Hi, Stephanie.
Hey, Eddie, thank you so much for including me in this awesome venture that you have. I am so honored.
Well, you're in good company, my friend. You are definitely something that I was very excited to have you a part of. There was a lot of people that were everyone said, "I want you to have this person. I want you to have this person." And when your name got thrown in a hat, I was like, "Okay, we got to make room. We got to make room for Stephanie. We need Stephanie in there because there's some ways that you've built the business that are unique to you and are going to free a lot of people." So, because I kind of already know what your strengths are. That's a bit of a cheat, right? Some of the people I invited, I didn't know their strengths. So I just invited them all and said, let's find out. But for you, I'm super excited for what I know you're going to offer the people. So let's just get to it. Speaking of strengths, since that's what we're going to talk about, could you take a moment and just share with everybody else what your strengths journey was like? How did you get introduced? What did you think about it? Have you applied it and what it's been like? Things like that.
Well, I was introduced with strengths through doTERRA and being a leader, because this is a leader-based business. I mean, a self-development based business, really. And I was on that path for self-development. And so when I heard about the strengths, I was totally on board. I want to know what I'm good at, what I'm not so good at, where I need work at, and where I can succeed and just sail. And so that's when it came about. Honestly, I hate tests like that because they're so subjective. And so I resisted, but and even when I finished and finished up and got it all done, it was like, is this really me? And I remember at convention, I had taken it a few years before, but at convention when it was really, really introduced, I asked Sarah Marie, do I need to retake this? And she says, let me see where you're at. And she says, oh no, that is totally you. Don't retake it. That is to a T. So that gave me a little bit of hope and a way to own my strengths and own who I am. And as I have learned to use them and to really try and understand where I'm coming from and how come I do this different than somebody else, and it's okay, that has been a game changer for me.
So I remember, well, first off, I'm going to point something out you just said that I know a lot of people have experienced. So I can tell everybody from my years of experience in coaching people, I've seen that indirection that you talked about with Sarah Marie happen a lot, where one person looks at the strengths, looks at the words, brings their drama to the words, right? And then goes to another person and says, is this really me? This doesn't make sense to me. Should I take it again? And that person looks at it and from their perspective is like, Yeah, that is totally you. Don't retake it. That process happens a lot with, especially with me, because like, I mean, I've become the strengths guy with doTERRA, especially. And so I get strengths reports sent to me all the time. And very often it's, Eddie, I don't get this. This does not look like me. And finally I'm like, all right. And like, I just kind of got to the point like, look, if I got on the phone with you for just 5 minutes and I looked at a couple of key strengths and explain to you what I see in less than 5 minutes, you're going to completely come around. So let's just pretend I did that. And why don't you come to a call or a training or whatever I'm doing so you can learn how to use it, right? Because I remember you and I talking about your strengths, in particular, your maximizer strength, and how confusing that was. And I remember, because that was kind of earlier on in my strengths knowledge, I remember how challenged I was by that. Because it's rare that I would see a person with as many certain strengths, which we'll talk about everybody. I'm just kind of giving everybody heads up to also have maximizer very high. And, my wife and I, Angela, which Angela, she gave me some perspective about you, and the both of us kind of figured out how it works. And then you and I talked about it. Do you remember that process of transitioning in your brain of, I don't get it at all, to, okay, I'm starting to get it? And what was that like?
Totally. I remember that. And I remember that conversation that you and I had after the conversation with you and Angela about using that maximizer in, in all of my other strengths. And it was like a light bulb went off, like, oh, now I get it. And ever since then, that's what I've been trying to do is exactly that.
Okay, brilliant. I love that. And so what we're going to do is we're going to pull up your strengths. And what I'm going to do is I usually draw them on my pad or whatever, but I had some technology issues recently. So I had to change my whole system. So I'm going to type them out on the screen in a second. Okay. And then what we're going to do is kind of break down your strengths from the macro, which is the big picture, down to the micro. And what I would love for you to do is, as I'm talking about what's awesome about you, which is going to be very easy, Stephanie, as I'm talking about what's awesome about you, um, I want you to kind of reflect on your doTERRA journey, and even like reflect to certain moments, certain things you've done, and what energizes you about this business. Because that's what we're talking about. I mean, nobody would ever argue that the oils are magnificent and miraculous. I honestly feel like the network marketing business is equally miraculous and magnificent. But that's a bit of a harder sell on some people. And so I want to use strengths to kind of convert that. All right. So let's take a look at your strengths and how they work. So bear with me just a moment while I pull up a little whiteboard. Open. Oh boy, look at that. See, I probably should have prepped my I probably should have prepped my technology for this. This is so funny. Oh, all right. Okay, hold on. I have to this is so funny. Okay. Okay, there we go. Okay, give me permission. Later. Okay, that's awesome. Is it gonna work? Let's see. Yay, it's working. Awesome. Okay, so let me pull this up. All right, let's start with number one.
Number one is maximizer.
Okay, right out the gate. Bear with me a minute. Let me hit black. Okay, cool. So maximizer. Okay, number two.
Empathy,
Empathy. Okay, number three.
adaptability,
Okay,
connectiveness,
hold on one second. Connectedness. Okay, cool. Number five.
positivity,
Number six.
relator,
Sure. All right, number seven.
developer,
Number eight.
belief,
Belief. Number nine.
harmony,
Harmony. Number 10.
futuristic.
Futuristic. Futuristic. Okay. All right. So right out the gate, I'm going to point out a couple of strengths I would love for you to talk about. We're going to talk about maximizer, but we're also going to talk about developer. Okay. So one of the things that we all do in our business is we help people. Basically, what we do is we help people get from where they are to where they want to be. One of the things that you're great at, obviously, is helping, mommies go through the whole, from pregnancy through the birth and the baby process, using essential oils. So one of the things you're really good at is helping women go through that process in a way that's going to enhance the experience for them and improve their health for them and the baby and so on. So that's one thing you're really amazing at, right? And you're also amazing at helping people with all kinds of different aspects of their health when it comes to essential oils. But another thing you're good at is helping people to find some success with using the network marketing business platform. So, like, I'm sure you've helped quite a few people make enough money to pay for their oils and get their oils for free. And when I say helped, I don't mean it was you that did it. It was really about you playing your part in their journey. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Right. So I can already tell with all the relationship building strengths that if I sit here and try to make other people's journey about you, you're going to reject that whole process completely. Really, it's about the part that you play. Right. So what I'm going to give you permission to do, Stephanie, is to take absolute ownership of the part that you play in someone else's journey. Right. Even if it's a very small part. Are you cool with that?
Sure.
Absolutely. Okay. So the two strengths I want to focus on are maximizer and developer. Okay. And I've got this really cool book. You're going to love this. I've got this really cool book called Paired Up, and they only give this to certified strengths coach. I don't know why, because it's really not that big a deal, but I'm going to share with you what basically what it does is it pairs up two strengths. Okay. Now, as I'm talking about this little phrase that they give when it comes to pairing up two strengths, it's so funny. I didn't even think I was going to talk about this, but I feel compelled to do this. Um, when I share this phrase with you, I want you to think about all the people you've ever helped get from where they are to where they want to be using this maximizer and developer strength. So maximizers focus on what's great to make it better, and developers encourage and compliment and support and cheer. Okay, right? This is totally who you are at your core.
Mm-hmm.
So the way they describe it in the book is so the person who has maximizer developer, I notice potential. In fact, I'll just do it third person. I'll say, Stephanie notices potential and promotes excellence. While she's patient with novices, she's not as tolerant of prolonged mediocrity. All right. Okay. Thoughts?
That is totally me to a T. Part of one of the things that I know I am really great at is validating and helping you feel special, helping you feel like you can do this, and helping you to recognize those small successes, and helping you to be successful in that. You know, let's not make it too big. Let's do things that we know you can be successful at.
Awesome. Okay. So repeat that one more time. I want everybody to hear what you just said.
One of the things I'm really great at is validating, to help um, others feel good about themselves, good about what they said, good about what they're doing, good about where they're going, and helping them to realize those successes and choose to even like not set things too big so that they can be successful.
Yeah. Right. And then it's taking that next step from that place. One of the things I've learned that maximizers struggle with is when people want to show up in their weakness around them. Like when people come, like, okay, so here we go, Stephanie. I'm going to trigger you just a little bit. Imagine somebody comes and says, Stephanie, I don't know. I just can't do this. I can't use these. I don't know what I'm doing. There's too much. I don't know how to handle this. My husband or my wife doesn't let me do it, or I don't, they don't, the other people are in control of what I can do or I can't do. Right. Or I don't have enough money, or I'll never make enough money, and I'll never be able to do what you do, Stephanie. Do you feel me? Like, these
Totally.
are,
Totally. And I have the perfect example because this is more on a personal level, but I get people that all the time that say, "Oh, I just wish you were my midwife." And I'm like, "No, you have this information. Don't give your power over to anyone else. You own that. You have this information. You can be the one in charge and you can do this." And so I wouldn't want you to give your power over to any doctor or midwife or me or anyone else. You own that. You were the one given stewardship over your body, your baby, your business, your whatever. And so own that and go with that. Go with your gut feeling and the things that you know to be true. And you're already good at that.
so I can see why strength speaks to you, because it's like, it's proof,
Mhm.
you know, everybody has strengths, right? It's just a matter of what are they? How can we talk about what's great about them and
Mhm.
use them, right? That's beautiful. So, what I want you to do is kind of go back in your journey a little bit and think about the time in your journey, and how, like, when you're doing things that are building your business, which basically it's, talking about oils and talking about the business, right? Where does your energy rise? Where do you get fired up? What are the things that you enjoy doing that make you say, this is my favorite part of doing the business? And we can talk about how your book gets involved in that if you want, however you want to take this. But I really want you to focus on the aspects of the building the business that you enjoy, and take out everything else.
I My niche is essential oils for pregnancy, birth, and babies. That's my passion. And so, even I was having a conversation with my assistant about, to do this, this, and this. And I'm like, all I want to do is talk about essential oils for pregnancy, birth, and babies. I don't want to do all the other stuff. But what that consists of is building others up, creating that relationship and helping validate them and helping them to know they can do this. And that's what makes me so happy. Even they want to ask me questions like, what do you do for this, and this? And I put that back on them and teach them this is how you can know the answer to that your own question. And it's not even just going to a book. I teach them how to do that within their body. And so I love to empower. That's probably where I'm the most successful at, is empowering others. And whether that's with business, with emotional, physical, spiritual, whatever, it's empowering. And I think that comes back to that development strength that I'm just now catching that, that connection there.
Well, your number 5 strength is positivity,
Hmm.
right? Which is contagious enthusiasm,
Yep.
right? And so if we just led with that, right, for you, that's where we start. And so, oh, you're gonna love this. I just thought of something. So we start with your contagious enthusiasm, which is what I teach people. Start with your number 5. For those of you who want to know what that means, you got to follow another training for that. But essentially, it's starting with your number 5, which is positivity, which is contagious enthusiasm. And then you ask yourself, okay, what am I contagiously enthusiastic about? And you're like, I want to help mommies and their babies, right? So that's what fires you up. And what I would call that is like your gateway,
Hmm.
right? And so if let's have some fun. If we look at, like, even like drugs, like people talk about, right? What's the gateway drug, man? Like was it marijuana or whatever? Like, that's the gateway drug, because once you're into that, then you're opened up to everything. Okay. And so when we're talking about, the gateway is essential oils, and pregnancy, birth, and babies, right? That's the gateway. And that's the messages you start with. But once these people, these individuals that are all unique, get introduced to that, then they understand the framework of how it works, and then they can apply it to everything else.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So just because this is the main focus for you, this is the thing that you enjoy doing, it doesn't mean that you don't also open up everybody to an entire world of how essential oils help people. Right?
Right.
And then when we're introducing them to how essential oils work with doTERRA, then they can take, they can be free to like want to understand, how does the doTERRA network marketing framework work with the essential oils? And so now they're getting introduced to network marketing that way. Right? But it all started with one thing, the thing that just lights you up.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Absolutely.
And remind me again, I didn't pull it up. Your number one strength is maximizer, right? So
Mm-hmm.
if we just paired up those two strengths, positivity and maximizer, contagious enthusiasm for the thing that I love, which is pregnancy, birth, and babies, just put them all in front of me and my business is going to soar. And then number one, maximizer afterwards, put them all in front of me and let me find out where they're all great individually and how to help them take the next step. Like if you start with that process, then you're always going to be living authentically. Does that sound right though?
Absolutely. 100%.
Okay. So what does that look like with the success that you've already experienced between now and up to Diamond? How has that already shown up for you?
Well, I have.
Here's an example. I'll give you an example. Okay. What I want you to think about is, like, think about all the times you've introduced oils to people. Like maybe even you can think of a story of a time where you introduced oils to, let's say, a mommy or a soon to be mommy. And they went from like, what the heck is this? Or I don't know if I can do this, to becoming proficient at it and potentially even sharing it with others themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you've got a bunch of stories like that. Do you remember one in particular?
Oh yes. I mean, I have, there's many where I have just shared, again, doing my thing, sharing with, for a client that I had. And now all of a sudden, she was almost like a twin like me, now that she has these and is using them and seeing all the benefits of it. Now she wants to go out and share, and can't keep it to herself either, just like I was.
Yeah.
And so, but again, it comes back to me sharing that positivity, that you can do this, and validating them.
It is so, and I can see it in your DNA, Stephanie. You are all about other people. And even for me to try to make this about you it's a little difficult, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I totally get it. So it's like, hey, if I said, hey, Stephanie, I'm gonna go teach, I'm gonna go teach oils to people, but I don't understand anything about pregnancy, birth, and babies. And there's gonna be about 80% of them are gonna be mommies or soon to be mommies. Would you come and speak for just like 30 minutes on just the basics of how essential oils help with that? Right?
Mm-hmm.
So because I gave you the information, like I told you, these are the people, this is where they are. And then I told you what I want you to do, no problem, right? But if I said, I'm going to go talk to 100 people, will you come talk about oils? You're like, you see, like you need more information than that.
Mm-hmm.
You feel that?
Mm-hmm.
So when you go back to that person that you were thinking about, you don't have to name her name or anything like that. But what I want you to do is think about, what was your process to even introduce the idea of using essential oils. So like the beginning process of, all right, let's get started on this conversation. What did that look like?
Okay, so this happens over and over again. I just let doTERRA and essential oils are part of my lifestyle. It's not anything I can separate from anything else. It's like using it's, and but, and what in a sentence. That's how I do use essential oils. It's just it's just the same. And so when I'm talking to a mom, then I might say, my expertise is essential oils. That's where my passion is. And so anytime you ask me, what can I, I've got a headache, what can I do? You're going to call me on the phone. I have this headache, or I've got this cramping. I'm not quite sure, is it normal, whatever. I'm going to first relieve your mind and help you understand that. And then I'm going to refer you to essential oils. I'm going to say this, or this is going to be, will work for you. And so, first of all, I just give them a sample so that they can experience it for themselves. And then I tell them how to use these. And by the next appointment, they've come back, okay, I can't do without these. And so they are 100% of my clients use doTERRA because of that, the very thing that I do. And some have come back. So like now let's change that. And now I'm at a speaking event and I'm speaking my passion and letting them know all the ways to use these in pregnancy, birth, and babies. And many, I'm sure I have inspired. I can feel it from the audience. I can feel it from who I'm talking to. And I have made that connection. And so I feel really great about that. It's now months later that I get, messages and emails and comments. I was at your such and such event. I was, I heard you speak here, and they're a silver in doTERRA now because of that, that conversation, that event that they went to, that hearing me talk about essential oils. Now, I don't mean that to boast or brag. That's not my intention, but that excitement and that connection, that relationship that I've had with that person and that audience that was where that success was. I can tell you that thousands of people, I'll say, let me take that down. Hundreds of people think that I'm their best friend because that's how I feel. And my clients are my best friends. That's the relationship that I create. Relationships are 100% to me. And I think they feel that because of the validation and the positivity and the enthusiasm that I present, and just the genuine love that I give when I talk to them.
Oh my gosh. I don't know if
that was really hard talking about me like that, just so you know.
I get it. But did you see how like my hand was flying? I'm writing notes as you're saying these things. So what I'm pulling from this, Stephanie, is your own personal framework. A framework is like your own step by step, right? So if I were to like teach the Stephanie Fritz style of connecting with people and sharing oils or business, really it's the same thing. Then this is what it looks like step by step. So I'm going to repeat it back to you. There's a couple of gaps that I have questions about. So what I wanted to do is ask, okay, so let's go to the part where you've done all those things, which I'm going to walk through how you do it, and you share oils with someone, you give them a sample. What are some things you do now that we're kind of taking a look back, and I want you to think about what are some things that you do that probably increases the chances of them actually using them and actually getting back to you with feedback on how it helped them? What would you say are some things you do? Maybe you don't think about them consciously because you probably don't like write them down and say, this is my process. But I want you to think about that. Like what kind of things do you do to more increase that engagement?
I'm talking about how I live that. I walk that talk. So I think that's a biggie. How many times have we heard, I want what she's got, or I want to do it how she's doing it, or where did you get that lipstick? I want that exact same one. And so, I'm walking that talk, and I am, I, again, just genuinely care, and I'm checking back. Hey, how did that serenity work for sleeping? Because if it didn't, if that didn't work, I want to make sure, check back with me, because I want to walk this walk with you. I want to make sure that you have success. And those are words that I use all the time. I want to go to the finish line with you on this. So please check back with me. Let me know how you're doing, and let's do this together. Those are words I use all the time.
Okay. That's so magical. Because I want everybody to know what we're looking at here is a person who has to do this, right, in a way that honors her desire to connect. When you say things like, I want to do this with you, we will do this together, we'll take the steps together, I'll be there for you, with you from the beginning to the middle and to the end, and so on. And which makes sense on the last part of your framework, really, is to become friends with these people. And at some capacity, right? Everyone's got their own idea of what friends is. High relators, have a different opinion of what a true friend is versus a high includer. So we're not going to spend too much time on this, but obviously the relator in you wants to connect very deeply with people on a very meaningful level versus a shallow or we'll call it a how's the weather kind of level, small talk level.
Surface.
Yeah, surface, right? I would imagine you're very uncomfortable around boring weather talk and so on. Is that true?
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't have time for that.
And so, okay, I'm gonna ask you one thing because I'm gonna have a little fun with you on this one. High relators have what I call, I'll call it the relator sniffer, but it really means that you're really good at smelling BS. Like you can see it on a person's face, their body language, their tone of their voice. You just know it. And sorry, do you ever notice that it kind of makes you go, okay, I know that I'm just not going to engage with this person. They're not ready. Right? It's not about they're bad or whatever, because I know you're not judgy. I know you don't want to be judgy, but you are judgy about who you choose to invest your heart with.
Exactly.
Because high relators, as I know, if they become betrayed by those who they let in, it's excruciatingly physically painful.
Absolutely.
So there sometimes it can look like there's a wall there. Can you connect with that without using the word relate, because it's relator, it is relator, but does that resonate with you?
100%. I'm very particular about who I let in. And honestly, sometimes that can be that can come off as the opposite of who I am. Sometimes someone might see that as unapproachable or like intimidated by. And really, that's the furthest thing from who I am.
Yeah. And so that makes it, I would say it makes it very easy for you to just be direct, honest, let people know who you are, what you got going on, so that they know what to expect. Does that sound right to you? Like you're really good at letting people know what to expect from you?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to break down your process on how you introduce oils, but I'll say you could easily introduce business the same way. Okay. Because for me, oils and the business are basically both just products that solve problems. So, right, you use oils to solve birthing issues, and you can use the business to solve financial ones, right? But the process is still the same. So the first thing right out the gate is make oils, or in this case, even the business, your lifestyle. Like this is what I do in my life. I use the oils, I use them, I do the business, I do what I do. I share the oils and I teach people about this, that, and the other. So it's who you are first. And I think that's important for everybody to understand that I would never want anybody to sell oils or sell the business when they haven't tried at least to take the first steps to make it a lifestyle. And I know if I asked you this, you would say the same thing I would. They don't have to be experts. It's just making the choice. I'm going to make this my lifestyle. Okay, that's the first thing. The number two was to share your expertise, your personal angle on how you like to use them. Like I love to use them for everything, but this right here is the thing I'm most excited about. Right. And I know for me, by far, my favorite product of all time is now a tie, actually, to lifelong vitality and adaptive. What those two products bring for me, like, I don't care what doTERRA does with everything else, just please don't ever stop selling those two products. They're the greatest things that ever happened to me. So I talk about my expertise and I let that be my gateway of introducing the entire big picture concept of oils and business and so on. So then the third thing you do is you hear people's pain. You let them talk about their issues. You help them feel, you said, a connection with you.
Mm-hmm.
And you do that through validation. It's another thing you do. I'm pointing this out. You validate them for being where they are. Right. And I think that's important that people, because if we give people the feeling of comfort, then they're willing to be honest with us so we can actually help them. And that's why you do it, isn't it?
Right, right. Well, everybody needs to feel better about themselves than they do. And so if I can help them, I'm already got a red star by my name. They already love me because I'm really great at making them feel good.
So cool. And woo, is that one of your strengths in the top 10?
No, it's not. Woo
Oh,
is 25 for me.
yeah. See that what you just said? They love me. That's how you woo.
Mm.
How cool is that? You just brought a bottom strength up by just being you. Okay. Just want to point that out. Okay, you're cool that way. All right. Next thing you do is then sample. And you give them a sample to create an experience. And this is what's important that people need to understand. The purpose of sampling is to create an experience. That's the way you like to create experiences, and that's the way you do it. So you put them in their hands or you send them to them, whatever, right? And then the next thing you do is you show them how to use it. And at the same time, you keep talking about how you use it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you do to increase the chances of them actually using it by staying on top of that. Hey, and using words like and letting them know right at the gate what to expect with you. The words you said, I want to work this, I want to walk this walk with you. So cool. Like I dare I say it to relationship builder, that's a script, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I know relationship builders typically don't like scripts, but that's your script. Like you could say that. Because it feels so good when you think about it, doesn't it? I want to walk this walk with you. You can say that over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
And that'll help them to increase the chances of them actually using the oils or even the business. We can talk about that too. In fact, no, I'll go keep going with the oils. So then you follow up, which I would love to hear how you follow up with people. Do you send text messages? Do you call? Do you send emails? Do you tell them you're going to follow up? How do you do that?
I let them know I'm going to follow up or check back with me because I want to see how successful you are with this. But I'm a great texter, and
Okay.
so I'm gonna text back, and I make sure that they know that that I text, and so let's communicate like this. And then there's oftentimes when I just say, you know what, I read your text, but this just warrants a personal phone call. I hope you're okay that I just called you, and again, how does that make them feel?
Yeah. So
I'm
you're
all about, in the end, looking how it makes them feel. I want them to feel special.
So cool. And okay. And so that can be your mantra that you repeat every day. Who can I help feel special today?
Mm-hmm.
And it almost feels like the things that you're trying to do with other people are the things that you want people to do for you, or even for you to do for you. Does that sound
Mm-hmm.
right?
Exactly.
This is common among relationship builders as they do the things onto others that they really want to do for themselves, but
Mm-hmm.
the focus has to be on other people.
Just a side note, when on a business side, when I was getting ready, so close to making silver, and then again at diamond. Oh, I don't know if I should say this or not. Oh well, it's out. Because I know her personally, but I got a personal text from Emily, And she said, "You are so close. Do you know how close you are?" At silver, no, I did not know how close I was. That was way too early in the business. But that, when she sent that text, that was what made me, that's what took me over the finish line. And then again at Diamond. And so I remembered how that made me feel. I want to make others feel that same way.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. That's wonderful. I mean, that's okay. So you could even do that for a person for the business, but you can also do that for the oils too. It's like you are so close. Like letting them know you're so close. I just want you to know you're so close. Just keep using, keep trying them, keep sticking with it. You're gonna, you're great.
Mhm.
That's beautiful. I love that. Man, everyone's learning some really cool stuff from you right now. And then the next thing you said, the next thing you do, which is the last two things, is you get feedback from them, right, on how it's working, and you become friends,
Mhm.
right? Um, that's the process that I'm seeing. So I make it my lifestyle. I share my experience. I hear people's problems. I connect with them and I validate them. I give them samples to experience it. I share how I use it to help them engage. I tell them I want to walk this walk with them. I show how I use it more. I follow up through quick text messages or even say, hey, maybe this message requires a more of a phone call instead of a text. And then I get feedback to prove that it's working. And then ultimately we become better friends. It sounds to me like you're, yeah, this is an easy question, but I'm going to ask anyway. Do you feel like you've made more friends doing this as a business than you had before? I know it's a dumb question, but I got to hear it.
Yeah, of course. Like I joke at, Facebook is just, a thing of its own, but you know, I I can't accept any more friends because Facebook thinks I have too many.
Wait a
So,
minute. Wait, what? Because everyone says, I don't want to do this because I'm afraid I'm going to put my friends at risk.
yeah.
My friendships at risk. I don't want to risk my friendships. I don't want to ruin my friendships. I don't want to ruin my relationships with my family. But you just said the opposite is what happens.
Mhm.
The person with 7 relationship building strengths who is not the kind of person that would go up to people and say things like, what are you doing today? What are you doing today? What are you doing today? Look at you. No way. It's like, how you doing? How you feeling? I'm here for you. I don't care what you have to do or not to do. I'm here to support you.
Mhm.
That's who you are. Okay.
100%.
Pretty awesome. I love your framework. And there's one more thing, and I'm going to ask, and then we're going to talk about really quickly, go over bottom strengths, and then I got one more question for you. This has been awesome, Stephanie. What I want you to do is talk about whether or not you've done this consciously, or maybe you have. I don't know. But when we're connecting your oil process or introducing oils through pregnancy, birth, and babies, for example, how does this process show up for you when it comes to the business? And I'm going to point out to one point, which is the sample. Okay, so in oils, it's easy. You put oils on people, they get an experience, right?
Mhm.
What are some ways either you have or you would like to help people have experiences or samples with the business? Right? Let's think about that for a second. If you've got an answer, go for it.
So for me, that's easy. My number one thing was freedom of time. I didn't have that being as, a midwife and doing all the things that I do and missing so out on so much with my family. And so I wanted that freedom of time, and how everybody wants that. No matter what you do, everybody wants that freedom of time. And so that's where I connect, is that area of that freedom, and being able to, as a relationship person, I just want to give. I know that many people would say one of my strengths is I'm generous. And so with my time, and with all the things. And so with doTERRA, that allows me to have that freedom of time and to be more generous with all the things.
Okay. So the pain point that we're focusing on here is helping people experience more freedom of time, which is there's no way I could have gotten myself to where I am with strengths and being able to help the thousands of people. I can say that thousands, which feels creepy. but I can say that I've helped thousands and thousands of people love and appreciate who they are and know how to walk in their strengths. There's no way I could have gained that knowledge if it weren't for the freedom that came from network marketing.
Mhm.
It does. There's no way. There's no way. My family would have said, "We don't want you around because you obviously don't want to be around." That's what would have happened. But here I am, the flourishing family, because of the network marketing model. So we've got like there's my story and your story, right? And our goal is to give people a little taste of what that's like. Imagine having a class with 3 or 4 of your friends and they love it, they have a great time, and they learn from the great Stephanie. Like if Stephanie teaches their class for them, right? You teach it for their class, and they're going, "Oh my gosh, Stephanie's amazing! That's so cool! She taught me so many wonderful things. I'm going to get a kit or whatever." And then that person who brought their friends into that, they suddenly see a check. They get a check for that, and they're like, "That was fun." And then all of a sudden, those people order again, and then another check shows up. Well, that's a sample.
Mhm.
Boy, is that a sample, right?
Right.
And if we
Right.
could just focus on helping people get samples like that of this business, how amazing that would be. And then all you get to do, right, is be contagiously enthusiastic about that process and meet them where they are and help them take the next step by saying, "I'm going to walk this business with you, or I'm going to walk this walk with you." Does that totally sound like a way that would be like the dream way to build a business?
I love that, and I love how you brought that samples into the business. They're getting little samples of the business part of it. I never connected that, but that is brilliant. I love that.
So, for you, this doTERRA journey is you're on the journey. You're still on that journey. You still want more. And it's fun to kind of talk about what's wonderful about you. You kind of get a different sense about yourself when like or how you're going to proceed when
Mhm.
you understand your strengths a little better. Yes?
Yes.
All right, cool. So now I think we all get who you are, Steph, and I know that a lot of us are feeling you right now. I'm gonna just super fast go over your bottom strengths, just so everyone understands what the concept of these bottom strengths are. So bear with me a second while I bring up that whiteboard again, and I'm just gonna draw them over here. So let's start with number 30.
30 is analytical. I'm
Okay.
laughing as I say these.
So breaking down numbers is not a high energy process for you.
No, no, no.
Okay.
Discipline.
Okay. So even discipline. Okay. Even breaking down how everything you do every single day, hour by hour.
No, 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 no.
Okay. So we can tell everybody, hey, look, you can hit diamond without scheduling everything you're going to do every hour. Uh,
Yep.
okay. Brilliant. Number 33 or 32. Sorry.
Context.
Okay. So the past, right?
Mhm.
So
Yep,
focusing on the past is a draining process. Yes.
yep. Restorative.
Okay. Focusing on what's broken, right? Also a draining process.
Right.
A lot of times people think that they have to be good at fixing things in order to build this business. And what we're showing here is that you are de-energized by that.
Mhm.
So what you did was you made a business focusing on what's already great, as you've talked about. It's not about
Yes,
fixing problems. It's about focusing on what's great for you. That's how you operate with
100%.
restorative love. Okay, last one.
Learner.
Wow, look at that. The amazing woman who teaches tons of people knowledge and information on how to use oils and wrote a book is not a learner. Now you know about what the learner strength is.
Uh, no.
Let me explain. And then what I want you to tell me is how the heck does this work? A learner, a person who's a high learner. Now I know how it works, Steph, but I want you to answer this. So we've got now people that are high learners are energized by being alone and listening to information or reading information, taking down notes, and they're energized by the process alone without some sort of an external application of it. Just the process alone of learning is a highly energizing process, right? So you're shaking your head, which means it's not for you.
Mm-mm.
So how do you like to fill this thing with information to do things with it?
I don't know how. I don't know how to answer that except that how my book came about. Can I go there?
Yes,
Okay.
perfect,
All
perfect.
right. So, um, in my experience, so my book did not come from the internet. It didn't come from reading other books. It came from my own personal experience. So I was at a birth, and I wanted to be present for a mom, so I put balance on me. And in the end, she had a little panic attack, and she noticed that being near me helped her to feel better. So she said, I need you near me. So I knew exactly what that was. This is a very short version of this story. So I grabbed my balance and just took the lid off. I didn't even apply any on her, just took the lid off. And she smelled that. And we had a beautiful birth that brought her out of that panic that she was in. And 3 days later, she said, oh my goodness, I was having flashbacks from a previous experience. And that helped me stay present and focused for this birth. I knew in that moment I'm never without balance at a birth. I had a baby that had a really hard time, a very traumatic birth, and couldn't calm down. And so my logical mind says, let's grab lavender, put it on his feet. No, it didn't work. Let's grab serenity. No, it didn't work. All the things that I logically know and learned didn't work until I just was quiet for a minute and frankincense came into my head and said, and it wasn't put on baby's feet, it was put on spine and top of the head. Instantly, that baby calmed down and came full present. It was like he looked at me and just said, thank you. I could just see deep into his soul. And so I learned in that moment, I'm never without frankincense at a birth. And this is how all of those stories, all of the oils in my book, all of the protocols came about. They were just literally, I'm just the messenger. And so I guess that's how I love to learn. I ask that knowledge will come to me every day. And so my book, now I'll even go back and read something, and I'm like, I wrote that? Like, really? Because a lot of it just isn't even my words. I'm
No.
just the messenger.
So that's what we just did. What you just did is you helped the world realize that they don't need to know everything in order to do this.
Mhm.
They just need to be around some people and start from there. And that's awesome. Like, truthfully, when it comes to, people, you can write a book about anything because you learned it in that process. Like, that's your writing process. That's your teaching process, is what you learn from people. So through that whole process of how I sample people is how I learned how to sample people. And through that whole process of helping people have experiences with the business was how I learned the business. You know what I mean? And so then you can go and write a book about that because it came from other people. As a relationship builder, you learn by connecting.
100%.
Yeah. Okay. Beautiful. That's awesome. Okay. So I got your step by steps on how you sample people. I got your step by steps on how you wrote a book. I got your step by steps on how you support people. Like, that's all over here. Like, the people that are watching this are getting massive notes and like, oh, I got to do that. I got to do that. I got to do that. And what we're doing is we're giving people freedom to do it their way. Last question for you, Stephanie. Okay. Now that we've kind of really understand who you are and who you're not, obviously, right? Uh, um, okay, let me point out one thing real quick, and then I'm going to ask you a question. So when I'm looking at these strengths here, these strengths, especially for you, the reason why they're low is because they are very self-centered.
Mm.
In other words, they're about you. And when you're making it about you, your energy is just drops completely. When you make it about others, you are contagiously enthusiastic, right?
Mhm.
Positivity, and then you become a maximizer, right? You know what's great about Positivity Maximizer is you can't use those strengths by yourself. Analytical you can, context you can, discipline you can, restorative you can, and learner you can.
Interesting.
Yep. All 5 of those bottom strengths you can use by yourself. Maximizer and positivity, which are your highest energy strengths. I saw it all over your face when you're talking about your process. You can't use them by yourself. So the simple thing is, if your business is growing, it's because you're not by yourself. It's because you're not making it about you. Right. And that's beautiful. So, hold on one second. My computer is running dead on power. Oof, I better plug it in real quick. Okay. Last question, Stephanie. Now that we've talked about what's wonderful about you and we really focused on it, and I believe it's a celebration of what's amazing about you inside, the energy that you bring for other people. If you could go back in time to a time where, maybe you doubted yourself, or maybe you were worried that who you are is going to be too much for other people, without sharing the story of what happened, I want you to share, what advice would you give to that Stephanie now that you know a little bit more about who you are and what your strengths are?
I think one of my biggest fears was seeing how other people did it and how they were successful, and knowing that wasn't me. I couldn't do that. So there's no way I can be successful at this. And since I've learned about strengths and gone back and seen how I have done things, I can be successful because I am. And I've said even earlier, I have no idea how I got here. I just am here. I mean, so if I can do this, anybody can. And it really is just about being authentic to who I am, and to not compare, and not to feel like you have to do it the way someone else does it, because you can't. You're right. You won't be successful that way. You have to do it with what feels good to you and what lights you up. And I can see that's what I'm doing.
Woo! Stephanie, ladies and gentlemen, the amazing Stephanie Fritz. Yes. Thank you so much. That was awesome. And man, I already know people that are watching this are going, all of them are saying this. I needed to hear that today. I guarantee that somebody's watching this and said, oh, I needed to hear that today. Thank you for.
I needed to hear that today.
So good. Well, okay. For those of you that are watching this, I hope you all got lots of notes. I hope you took I got a lot of great step-by-steps and some ideas and stuff from Stephanie on this one. And I hope you were given the freedom to be who you are through that process. So now it's time for you to take what you've learned and go to work, and then go watch more of these interviews and have a wonderful day. So thank you all for watching, and we'll see you all in the next interview.